Hello, I'm Dr. Julia Bohlmann,
And I'm Dr. Mona O'Brien.
and we're going to tell you about the International Student Starter Pack. So the International Student Starter Pack is a video suite on Moodle that is shared between students and staff at the University of Glasgow. It is one of the outputs of a project funded by the university's Learning and Teaching Development Fund. The Starter Pack is seeking to foreground international student voices. In particular, we wanted to show how postgraduate taught students experience their study at the University of Glasgow, as most only stay with us for 12 months. We know that this very compressed timeline can amplify transition challenges students might experience when coming to the UK. And this we wanted to make staff teaching them aware of. However, we also wanted to avoid any deficit narratives circulating about international students. It was therefore important to us to let the students speak for themselves in video recorded interviews. But avoiding our own biases went further than that. We also recruited student interns to help us work with the raw footage, to select key themes from across the recordings, and edit video excerpts into short 3 to minute long videos. I can't tell you how much work and effort this required from our interns. Each video was about 30 to 45 minutes long, and we interviewed some of the students twice, once halfway through their degree program and then during the dissertation writing phase. The high quality of each of the videos is testimony to the professionalism and dedication of our student interns, Melania Mielkea and Ava Scott-Nadell. We are sorry that we can't show them as part of this presentation, but due to ethical reasons, the videos are only internally available. We would therefore encourage University of Glasgow staff to watch these after the presentation. The link to the Moodle is provided on the last slide. And now I'm handing over to Mona to explain how the resource is laid out and how you can use it to develop your own practice and support your international students.
So we created a resource with a clear and accessible layout and one that does not overload students with information. As during our research, we found that new PGTs need some time to get used to Moodle, and clear formats are really helpful with this. As Julia said, the resource centers around the themed videos. So each of the tiles that you can see on the screen contains a video, the first of which introduces the students, and then the rest on the themes centered by the participants and our interns. So this is what you will see when you click on a tile. The video comes first. In the videos, the students discuss their experiences. For example, the challenges of doing a dissertation in a new academic context where the expectations, for example, around criticality, are very different to their previous experience. And they also discuss the enjoyment and enrichment derived from engaging in new forms of academic thinking, as well as giving their advice, such as learning to ask questions for new students. And then below the videos are resources for staff and for students. Again, we prioritized a clear and accessible layout. Importantly, the resource lists are visible to both groups, so students can learn more about best practice and advice given to staff, and staff can identify resources for their students. In our research, we found that students often suffer from information overload, particularly at the start of their degree, and the combination of diligence and trying to learn and adjust to a new academic environment can mean that students really spend an awful lot of time trying to filter through lots of information. So the lists are limited to a maximum of 5 key resources for students. As you can see in the slide, some of the resources are key pieces of advice or points for reflection, while others are links, for instance, to student learning development classes. And these come with a description of what the resource provides, so students can decide if it's useful for them.
And likewise, for the resources for staff section, we limited them to 3 items, and many of these link to research about the international student experience, specific tools on how to support practice, as well as reflective prompts for kind of getting staff to think a little bit more about their experience.
So the resource launched in September 2023, and this year we began collecting feedback. In February, I ran focus groups with a total of 11 students attending. Students came from across the colleges and were at all levels, from undergraduate right up to PhD candidates. And students reported that the videos made them feel seen, by centering student experiences that they recognized, or they spoke about experiences that the students would go on to have later on as well. And the students also reported that hearing about these experiences in the videos helped them to feel more connected to their fellow students. And this is something that our initial participants in the research reported some struggles with, because they were unsure about the experiences that other folks were having. Furthermore, the feedback participants reported that the advice in the videos and the resources listed were very useful. They used some when they first accessed the resource, and a couple of the participants reported that they will return to the resource at relevant points in their studies, for example, when they're writing their dissertations.
We also received feedback from staff at various learning and teaching committees and school away days, as well as through the inbuilt feedback tool. And most found the videos insightful, relatable, and even surprising at times, which hopefully indicates that we are succeeding and working against deficit narratives to create a better informed understanding of the international students' experience among our teaching community. Staff were also keen on resources and tools that did not take too much time to consume, as many are time poor, such as name pronouncing tools and short articles. We also had inquiries about making the resource available to students pre-entry. And while we can see the value in that, we are restricted by ethical implications of our project, because it's also a research project. I'll come to that in a second. And also in the first instance, the resource is really intended to support current students in their academic journey. However, the name Starter Pack is perhaps raising expectations it can't fulfill. So we are considering a name change to specify more clearly who the resource is for. Sorry about this. So now we are in the second year of the project, and which we have dedicated really to improving the Starter Pack and analyzing the data we have collected during year one. So apart from conducting video interviews, we also ran a survey and focus groups. And we carried out the focus groups in 3 stages, so loosely coinciding with the start, middle, and end of the academic year. Some of the focus group participants attended all 3 focus groups, some only 1 or 2. And all 4 colleges were represented in all focus groups. We're not quite sure yet whether or not to use the video interviews as data because the complexity of self-representation really associated with them. But on the other hand, it might be interesting to focus on this aspect specifically. Once we have analyzed the data, we seek to publish a research paper, which we hope will make a valuable contribution to the growing field of research with international students. So thanks very much for listening. If you have any questions, we are here during our conference slot, and you can also get in touch with us by email.
Thank you.
Bye.